This is Anime Out of Context, a comedy review podcast hosted by a weeb of the highest order, alongside a cynical man who knows nothing about anime. Our show features spoilers, explicit language, and poor fact-checking. Neither of our hosts are experts on any topic, and none of their opinions should be taken as fact. Thank you for listening, and enjoy.
Hello and welcome to Anime Out of Context, the show where I attempt to explain the sometimes weird, sometimes wonderful, but always hilarious world of anime.
And I'm just here to rank my bottom 10 moments of living here on this earth, all of which have happened on this podcast.
I'm Shaun Rollins.
I'm Remington Chase.
Remington, we've gotten a lot of emails lately.
We have. That tends to happen, broadly speaking. Mm-hmm. Have these emails been specific, Shaun?
Yes and no.
Okay, perfect. That is a meaningless statement you have hit me with.
I mean, it's one or the other, isn't it? But hey, it's a little bit of both, though, if you think about it. Because some of them have been like, this is why your opinion is wrong. You need to analyze this, the blah, blah, some well thought out paragraphs and really well worded arguments, which I love to see those.
I really enjoy seeing those. Though I will say, here's a little piece of advice for anybody sending an email. If you include recommendation in the title, I will not read the email. Because I don't read recommendations. If you have recommendations in it, it can skip over those, right? If you have content plus recommendations, sure. But if you have recommendation in the title of the email, I will not be a person who reads it.
Yeah, whereas I read them all, and I believe Dylan covers my butt when I forget to.
Yep.
But yeah, no, it's wonderful. Because those well thought out paragraphs and interesting discourses into why you guys like the shows you like is part of the reason I enjoy doing this. I like seeing these different opinions, even if I don't always agree with them.
It's really interesting, really engaging. I love seeing those things. From bringing them up, I assume you've received some specific feedback about something we've done?
You could say that. I will also say we do get some less than couth emails as well.
Yeah.
Including this one that just simply says, "I hate you, please die."
Yeah, so, just maybe when you're typing that up, just don't hit send.
Yeah, just think to yourself, would I like to have this sent to me? And if so, go right
Just
ahead.
think, would I send this to my grandma?
Yeah.
And then if you are the type to send sister fucking hentai to your grandma, well, then I guess you can send it to us as well.
And you should probably reevaluate your relationship with your grandmother.
Yeah, you have one hell of a relationship with your grandma, one that I don't want to know any more about.
I know there's a MILF-isekai, but I don't know if there's a GILF-isekai. We'll have to look into that.
Oh, God. Okay, this is okay.
Look,
what are we doing? What's going on? What's this transitioning into, Shaun?
Madness like it usually does, friend. But no. So in these emails, we got a lot of emails in regards to you might expect Your Lie in April. Yep.
Of
those. Those haven't stopped.
we essentially replace all the recommendations we were getting to do it with angry emails, and that about is the ratio.
And the most heartbreaking ones are, "I love you guys, but why?" And I'm like, "I'm sorry."
I feel like I speak for both of us. Both of us both thought we would and wanted to like the show more than we did.
Yeah, and more recently, we've gotten a lot on Shield Hero.
Oh boy, yep.
That one I'm less sorry about.
Yeah, no, I have no, Your Lie in April, I was disappointed. I wanted to love it. Shield Hero, I don't get it. There's been so much outcry against us, but I don't get it.
Especially against me. I've gotten a lot of specific threats directed towards me, which I feel is a little unwarranted.
You betray the weebs, Shaun.
Yeah.
You're supposed to be on their side.
Even though I do have good points about the show that I enjoyed, but that's just because, I'm a weeb and I have my isekai trash moments. And plus
All right, so...
But...
So my worry, Shaun, is that mentioning Shield Hero or Your Lie in April is that we're going to revisit one of them. First of all, way too soon. And second of all, I don't know if I'm ready to revisit either of those.
Honestly, Ren, it's impossible for us to do too soon anymore because we did Sword Art Online 2 weeks in a row, so...
Yeah, I fucking know.
So
I'm
too soon is not an option with this podcast. I fly by my whims and what the recommendations guide me, But this time around, I was like, I could do a revisit of one of these, but again, I don't know if I'm ready to like compound the hate quite yet. So instead,
gotta diversify the hate.
Exactly. So this time around, I looked at, I re-listened to our episode on Shield Hero, and remembered a lot of your notes and criticisms, including some of my own. And I thought to myself, man, I wonder if there's a show like that that has a similar premise, but deals away with some of these criticisms. And Remington, I think I found the show.
Okay. Here's my worry, Shaun.
Yes.
So it's nice you're listening to my feedback, which is exceptionally rare. Usually it's just listening to the fans who always want blood. And so it's nice to hear that you are hearing me, Shaun.
Yes.
That being said, if it's at all similar to Shield Hero, I don't know how much better it can get.
Well, maybe this will make you feel a little better. This show was produced and made by the same people who did Watamote.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
That's favorable.
Yeah. And they're also, well, you haven't seen that. No, you haven't seen that. Oh God, you're gonna see that.
I hate hearing that.
Oh wow, they actually had a lot more than I expected. Most of it is garbage. Yeah. Looks like Watamote might be the exception.
You're instilling in me so much confidence, Shaun.
Oh, well, okay, this one's okay. Oh, yeah, no, that's a bit of a... What's that show about? You know what, I'm getting too deep. Let's not talk about that. The studio that did this one is called Silverlink, right? And they did Watamote, a really good show. That just focus on that part.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, just ignore everything else you just said.
Yep,
Cool,
yep,
all right.
Yep. Disregard all of that. And the show we're going to talk about today has a lot of similar concepts, but executes them in a more, let's say, honest way.
Okay.
Because I feel like this show knows what it is, does not try to hide that fact, and, like, is aware of all of its faults for the most part, and is okay with its faults. Which is...
I just want to say, for all of our listeners, they have the benefit, they look at the title of what the podcast is this week. They see what anime we're doing, they're like, all right, cool. For me, I don't get that luxury, so every single part one of the podcast, every single first half, is just a game where I'm trying to decrypt what the fuck Shaun is saying to figure out where this is all going.
Yep, and that's the little game I like to play, to try and lead Rem down a merry path of debauchery and randomness to hopefully get some good content out of it.
Pretty fucking rough.
But I'll tell you right now, Rem, as soon as I tell you this title, you're going to be like, I have no opinion. My opinion has not changed, because the title is not going to help you in any way.
Oh, okay, good to hear. All right, I'm glad you're priming me for that.
Okay, and brace yourself. It's a light novel.
Oh, no.
And I do not speak Japanese, so this is going to be fun. Let's see. The anime we're going to be watching today, Remington, is simply titled Itai no wa lianano de bogyoroki ni kyofukuri shitai to omaisu.
Flawless pronunciation.
Oh, I butchered that so fucking bad, and I am not going to attempt it again because, my God, there was just some symbols I did not recognize in there. And by symbols,
all right,
I
Shaun,
mean
so
Romanji lyrics.
So, Shaun, if you could just Americanize that for me.
Okay. So the quick and easy way to refer to the show is as BOFURI, all right?
That is not helpful.
I told you. But if you want the full proper translation, which you'll probably never repeat, the full translation is BOFURI, I don't want to get hurt, so I'll max out my defense.
Okay, you know what? The full title is like relatable.
Yep.
Now I feel already that this has more humanity in it than Shield Hero does.
I would say so, Remington. In fact, that is what a lot of our emails have been recommending to us. They're like, okay, you didn't like this, but what about this?
All right, but quick question, Shaun.
Yeah.
Does this show have slave apologism?
No.
Oh, thank God.
Yeah, no, none of that. In fact, it has everything that I enjoy in a good, relaxing kind of show, with random elements. But I will say, first of all, it's another isekai.
Yeah, which is always a bit of a rough road.
Yeah, but it's not a true isekai, as it were. It's more of a pseudo isekai, I suppose you could say.
See, I've learned I prefer isekai that don't do the exact same isekai thing. Because when it's an isekai where it's like, oh yeah, now you gotta grind up and save the world, I don't know. I lose focus. But when it's like an isekai where it's like, oh, now we're in this world. Well, how are we going to live within this world?
Yes.
Like, that is always the far more interesting question than how are we going to save this world? Just how are we going to live in this world, right? And we see that with like Slime Reincarnate or Ascendance of a Bookworm.
Yes.
Which are isekai that I strongly prefer to the vast majority of others that I've seen.
Yeah, it's an isekai with an actual fantasy backbone rather than isekai just to be isekai.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, like, I really dig that stuff as well, Rem. This one is, like I said, more of a pseudo-isekai, because it is technically an isekai, but it's of the kind that is a bit more, mundane, to say the least, because it's, what it is it's a show about a young girl named Kaede Honjo, and Kaede was invited by her very enthusiastic friend to try a virtual reality MMORPG simply titled New World Online.
But of course.
Yes, if you thought that could be the most generic name for a virtual RPG, you are correct. Because it's the most popular VR MMO played by thousands of people across Japan. Debatable. I can't imagine Final Fantasy XIV has died out by this point in the story.
It's just unrealistic. We can't buy into that.
Yeah, and not to mention the fact that it doesn't have a over-the-top ridiculous screen name. But nonetheless,
why is it the case that they always, anytime there's an isekai, they feel the need to have the most mundane, boring, uninspired game titles?
I mean, it's the case for a lot of them, and I feel like I would say it's one of two things. The first and obvious one is laziness, and that it doesn't matter as much. The second one I would say is if you keep it so generic, it's recognizable.
I guess so.
You know, I mean, Sword Art Online, it's
That's one of the better ones, amazingly.
It is, but it's also pretty straightforward and easy to recognize. Like New World Online, I mean, it's even more generic, but it's at least, it's easy to remember, But that...
Right, so she gets the game, it transports her... Wait, okay, does she go to a different world, or does she get digitized into this world, if that makes sense?
No, she's just playing the game in a VR headset.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, like I said, it's a pseudo-isekai, so all of the meat and potatoes happens in the game, but it's not like an actual isekai where protagonist A is thrust into a magical place through contrived reasons and has to figure out what the hell is going on. It's literally just she gets invited to play this fancy game by a friend and is a little nervous at the outset.
All right.
Yeah, because this show, Remington, is actually just a cute moe blob RPG show.
Oh my god. All right. Well, you've said everything I need to hear, Shaun.
Yeah.
For any new listeners, I am moe trash. I like adorable things. I am wildly cynical elsewhere, but when it comes to adorable bullshit, oh boy, I'm your guy.
Yeah, and it's a moe blob show, more focused around girls than animals. There are some animals, but I'm just gonna curb your enthusiasm just a little bit there because I know you're gonna be like, hey Shaun, where's all my cute animals?
It's true. Addendum to what I just said. I'm moe trash for non-human moe.
Yes.
Which occasionally does include sort of humans. It can include gremlins so far. Non-human moe asterisk including gremlins.
Yeah. But right as she gets into the game, she names her in-game character Maple, which is very cute.
Yeah, that's charming.
Yeah. And sets out on her journey by herself to start with. And as a complete novice to these games, she is terrified of getting hurt, so she allocates all of her points into vitality and defense.
With all due respect, that is the most Shaun thing I've ever heard in my goddamn life.
Hey, now! How dare you? How dare you disrespect my gamer creed?
No, I mean, if you're playing a game, that's not what you would do. But if you were inside it and if you could feel pain, well, I mean...
Hey, I would be smart and I would invest heavily in magic and stay the fuck away from everything.
There you go.
Because rather than getting hit, I would just not get hit at all. That's much better in my opinion.
Fair enough. You know what? Makes sense.
But yeah, the first thing you'll realize about this game is it's completely broken and makes no sense in game terms, and I feel like the writers know that.
We'll see if they know that, because otherwise I will probably chastise it.
Because that's definitely not the point of the show. And with not a single point in literally any other stat, so Maple has such a high defense Yes. The problem is she can't really hit anything, and she can't really move very fast.
Okay.
And she does, in fact, get a shield, but it's not like a wimpy little arm shield. It's like a full fucking tower shield.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah. And surprisingly enough, it's not a bad strategy, as it turns out. Because since her defense is so high, she has such overpowered skills that she cannot be harmed or killed.
All right.
Yeah, and a combination of items and special defense skills that reflect damage, she can basically one-shot anybody.
All right. Well, I traditionally have enjoyed shows with knowingly overpowered protagonists. I never like it when they're overpowered and then they pretend they're not, like that old game where they're like, oh no, wow, how are they ever gonna do it? Oh, like this, just seamlessly, effortlessly. But when it's like, yeah, they're super overpowered, they can do whatever. The good old Saitama
Yes.
syndrome, like that's way more interesting.
Oh, I agree completely. And sometimes it can be interesting, like if they're really overpowered in a very unique and specific way, sometimes that can fun.
Sure.
But a lot of the times that's just not the case. A lot of times it's contrived and ridiculous. But, you know, who am I to judge? I like a lot of really trashy shows anyway, so, you know.
Of course. All right, well, I think I pretty well understand what's going on with her.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's a pretty straightforward show, because, I mean, while she may be overpowered in game terms, the show, she still has a lot to learn about the world of the game and whatnot, and it's literally just about her going around, making friends, and doing just cute anime girl things, while completely breaking a game.
You know what? I dig it. I'm interested. I am tentatively optimistic.
Yeah, it's not gonna be like a groundbreaking achievement of a show, but I feel like you're gonna like it way more than Shield Hero.
Well, only one way to find out.
And without further ado, let's go watch some episodes of BOFURI, because I'm not saying the rest of the title because it's a fucking mouthful. Ladies and gentlemen, we are back after consuming 4 whole episodes of BOFURI. I don't want to get hurt, so I'll max out my defense. I'm not trying the Japanese one again, because after thinking about it very carefully, I've decided, man, that's probably the worst time I've butchered a title.
Aw, Shaun, I'm sure you've butchered things even worse.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's probably true, but it's also the next thing I'm likely to butcher is you, just depending on what you have to say. Which, I don't know. I mean, I don't expect anything super awful from you, but we'll have to see. So, Remington, what are your thoughts on BOFURI?
Well, Shaun, it's no Shield Hero.
Good.
Which in this case is a great thing.
Yeah. I mean, it does have a shield and it does have a hero.
It does have a shield. It does have a hero. This is easily the better show. No contest. Undeniably.
Okay, cool. We're starting off strong then. Well, strong for you and me. Not so strong for people who still love Shield Hero. The question is, Rem, what do you think, man? I, for one, quite enjoy the show a lot, so I'm curious to see what insights you have to offer on it.
Well, you know what? Let's jump in properly discussing it. We open up with BOFURI, with our main character talking to her best friend about the game, and they explain that Maple, I can't remember what her human name is. It doesn't matter.
Okay.
She's Maple.
The story takes place primarily in the game, so that's all that you really need to know.
Yeah, so Maple apparently has never played a game, and yet has decided to spend hundreds of dollars on an advanced VR setup and brand new video game. Holy shit! I can't even afford, like, the hobbies I do care about, let alone the ones I've never even touched.
Well, to be fair, Remington, you have more hobbies than God.
You're not wrong. I do have many hobbies.
You also don't have a real job.
That's also true. I have a fictional job, and it does me good.
Also, let's be honest with yourself. How many times has a friend forced you into a situation that you weren't really expecting to, but end up going along with it because they're your friend?
I mean, here I am. here I am 2 years later in this podcast.
Yeah, that's what happens when you sign the contract in blood, my dude.
So, unfortunately, her friend has to, like, practice for a test and study and whatnot. So, Maple, she gets on the game herself, gives it a try. She decides to be a great shielder, etc., etc., etc. And she very quickly goes and explores the forest by the main village. And then, very quickly in the first episode, we get introduced to the single greatest character in the entire show, and that is, like a plant bunny creature.
It's an apple bunny.
It's an apple bunny. Oh my god, I love the apple bunny so goddamn much. And it tries to attack Maple. It can't. It eventually does that forever, and it gets exhausted. And eventually it dies. And my reaction is the exact same as Maple's. Like, we shared the same mind. Both of us were just like, oh my god, the bunny! Because it was too precious for this world.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you, Rem. The one thing I kind of left out was how many adorable creatures were in this show, because I didn't want to get your hopes too high, and I figured the surprise would be worthwhile to you.
Oh, I loved it, but it did die, so it was emotional whiplash, to say the least.
Well, it is a video game, man. Sometimes the cutest enemies have to die.
So then she gets bothered by these sort of like giant poisonous bee creatures that can spray poison. And it's at this point that it establishes you develop abilities ridiculously fast. Like, in a matter of a minute, she goes from like mild poison resistance, moderate poison resistance, strong poison resistance, right? And it just goes ham. And this is very quick. So that's an example of this game being broken as fuck.
Oh yeah, no, like the story was written with the whole premise of, hey, we're gonna write an MMO story with a overpowered character, but we're gonna constantly point out how this game is broken as fuck.
Yes, and I think that there's one primary flaw with this, but I'm gonna delve into that primary flaw later. For now, just know it's imbalanced. They know it's imbalanced, and I'm going to discuss it more later.
Not to mention the Final Fantasy II method of leveling up is,
yeah.
God, I'm not a fan of repeated use leveling up. I mean, it can be done well and okay, like in Skyrim it was all right, but at the same time, it's like, it's not a great design mechanic, but it works for this world, so it's fine.
For sure. And so she eventually decides she wants some more armor. She goes to the Poison Dragon cave. I am just noticing in my notes I've mistyped. I've put Poison Dragon Cafe instead of cave.
I would go there. That sounds great. You kidding me?
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm a fan. Let's do it.
I imagine the food might be a bit spicy for me, but I feel like I could at least find something I'd like, and maybe they sell milk on the side. That could be good.
For sure. So she goes to Poison Dragon Cave, and the scaling in this dungeon is atrocious. The scaling in this dungeon is atrocious because it goes from there's just like a bunch of slimes, right? Really easy to kill enemies, bunch of slimes, more slimes. And then a giant 3-headed Hydra at the very end.
Yeah.
And that is the scaling. That is it. There were no intermediate levels there.
I mean, that's how you do games, right? You start with some babbies, and then you get the big, scary, evil god demon.
Everyone knows. It's like, all right, I'm going to fight some boar, some slimes. All right, now I'm fighting the literal god of the universe.
I mean, that's
it's just how
Final
it works.
Fantasy games go, isn't it?
And so the Hydra has a lot of poison, and so she's very resistant, but she's not completely immune. But then eventually she's able to withstand the poison long enough to where she becomes immune, once again, very quickly. A little bit ludicrous, but once again, we'll discuss that later.
To be fair, though, like, she only got it because of her stupid high health and able to stave off death. So I feel like the counterbalance of one of the strongest poisons in the game, and her.
Well, yeah, but like immunity is just way bigger of a deal, especially permanent immunity.
It's completely broken. I'm just trying to give some justification.
Oh man, especially because it implies that everyone will be completely immune to every element in like a month. And like, how do you scale for that?
There's a reason the fucking Final Fantasy II system of level up is stupid. But yes, continue.
Yeah. So she also lost her equipment and stuff. So like, how does she attack it? And she decides to she can't be hurt by it anymore. So she just starts biting it. Here's where it gets weird. So like biting it, all right. So you can sort of hurt. She like tears off chunks of its flesh. Instead of like spitting it out, she just eats like this raw dragon toe meat.
Yeah, it's like
And
sashimi.
I don't understand. I don't get why she swallowed it is the thing. That was weird.
I mean,
that was strange.
I mean, it didn't taste good at first, but then it got splashed with some poison, which added some flavor.
It was a weird moment. I don't know, man. So she defeats the giant Hydra, and then she gets an absolutely one-of-a-kind armor and shield that no one else in the entire game has, which is yet another, like...
Stupid and broken thing.
Yep. So that's episode 1. Gives you a broad summary. It's interesting. It's captured my interest, but it hasn't made me fully invested at this stage. When we get to episode 2, and sort of transitioning out of episode 1, there's a battle royale event, right?
Right.
And so that's getting started. Within every fight, like, you have sort of some training from Maple. Every fight she's in, she gains multiple very powerful skills and abilities.
Yep.
Every time that she could use forever. These are the most incompetent game creators of all time.
Oh, I agree. It's great.
It's also at this stage where it's like, there's so many interesting characters, right, that have been introduced. Even like there's some fodder characters, like there's Christmas Rose or the Trio, and they're great. They're humorous, and all the side characters are interesting, and they actually feel like actual characters that have had thought put into them, which is nice. But I still, at this stage, I haven't seen a ton of development either with any characters or any relationships, so that's really what I'm hoping to see more of in episodes 2, 3, and 4, right? Within this battle royale event, fortunately, Maple has an overpowered ability where she touches you with a shield and fuck you, you lose. And so, some players comment and they're like, what the fuck is that bullshit? That's broken as hell. So, like, they're acknowledging it, showing they're actually aware, as opposed to so many isekai that are just Sword Art Onlining it and being broken without just never acknowledging any of that.
Yeah, the unique skill system in Sword Art Online is one of the most frustrating things about it for me as a person who loves to explore game design. So, trust me, I get it. The fact that they have something similar in this, but it's actually okay because it's not like a super serious power scaling type of story is...
Yeah. I also like, in between her just like using her shields to devour her opponents, she's just drawing large little cute pictures on everything just in her spare time in this battle royale. And that's charming. I like that.
Maple is a cinnamon bun and we must protect her.
It's really good. So Maple, she doesn't win, which good decision. Thank you for that. It's dear God. But she does get 3rd place. And so she gets a medal and everything. Then finally, Risu, her friend, can actually play.
Yep.
It's Sally. She goes by Sally in the game, so it's Maple and Sally.
Yep.
And so Sally can actually play the game. And so they start exploring a little bit. They go to a cave to fish a bit. Sally is really good at swimming because she's really good at swimming in real life, which is a thing I always am confused of and also dislike. When like Sword Art Online did this too, and it just doesn't make a lot of sense to me, especially when you consider the target demographic.
Yeah.
Like if you advertise to a bunch of people who are like power gamers for World of Warcraft being like, hey, your physical abilities will also play a part in our virtual realm. No, you're not getting those power gamers. I'm sorry. They're not going to be interested.
Unless they develop a very special rolling technique, you know, like the Miltank in Pokemon Crystal.
Oh my God.
Like, that might make them overpowered.
Miltank is the best gamer, is what we're getting at.
Yep. Kicked my ass too many times to count. How am I supposed to know that it's normal and not anything else? What? There's a Machado behind it? It doesn't fucking matter.
It's gonna be okay, Sean. It's gonna be okay.
Look,
take a breath. Take a breather.
I have severe trauma from that time in my life. I can beat her every time
I know.
because I'm an adult. But Kid Shaun was horrible at dealing with.
Just rollout after rollout, and what can you do? And then you get close, and then it drinks its own goddamn milk. Anyway.
But speaking of drinking the milk of a show, let's continue.
So Sally has decided to be a swashbuckler, which means she has very high agility and high attack, but she's a glass cannon, basically, right?
Right.
Which is another interesting archetype. I'm digging it. And they play well together. I like the dynamics going on there.
Yep.
It's also really nice that so far, they've just been like super supportive and positive friendship dynamics here, both between the two main characters and also between most others. Like, you haven't had a character just be like, oh god, you don't know this information because you're new? Oh, well, here this. It's always just like, oh yeah, here's the information you need, and you know what, if you need this, that might be a good idea. Have a good time.
Yeah,
right? People are just not assholes in this, which, don't get me wrong, there are a lot of assholes around, especially in online gaming, but far too often shows think that they need to throw people into a hostile world where everyone is at best ambivalent and at worst openly hostile. Looking at you, Shield Hero. But just having supportive people around you, it's just real nice. And seeing Sally and Maple, where like they'll occasionally have mild disagreements, but they're super all in for one another, and they don't bicker about like who gets the loot or whatever. And they may not always agree with the decisions of the other, but they get it, and they're friends because they're friends.
Yeah, and this is a good, soft, gooey, moe, cute girls doing cute things show, despite all of its, high action scenes. And it plays to those positives really, really well. There's no place for your edgy bullshit in my cute, fluffy anime girl show.
Truly. So then Sally finds an underwater tunnel and treasure, and she goes and explores, and she solos a Leviathan from Subnautica and just kicks the shit out of it. Which just the game is not that hard if day one you can kill creatures that huge that easily.
It wasn't day one, Remington. She had trained there for several days to
I'm sorry,
out her
like day
swimming
4.
and
My
her
bad.
underwater breath holding and such and all that stuff. Because that,
but we had never even seen her do like much combat. We'd just seen her fish and swim.
Yep. And be cute with Maple.
Yeah, which is real nice. At the end of every episode, one thing they'll also do that I didn't mention, they'll do like text messages to and from, right?
Yeah, it's a game chat, so it's people talking about what's going on from the perspective of other people in the game. Although I will say, they are fucking horribly subtitled.
Yeah, it doesn't help also that like there's different speeds that the chats go. So like sometimes it was like, yeah, this message I read that, this message I read that, cool. Other times it was like ba 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 ba, and I was like, I have no idea what any of those say now. It's over. It's gone.
Yep. I had to pause and go through each one. You ain't missing much. It's just some genuine like color commentary and world building and talking about how broken it is, but also how adorable she is, things like that.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's like I liked the idea, but it didn't work for me because I couldn't even read all of them. So that was a bit of a missed opportunity in my mind. With episode 3, we start out with some patch notes.
Yep.
And patch notes, you know what? For this reason, that is one of the single most impressive decisions a video game isekai has ever made in my mind.
Right. It's almost
God.
It's almost like the author actually plays video games and understands how video games work.
Because there's actual like bug fixes and things that they are trying to address, and they address a lot of the broken bullshit that Maple has been writing on. So Maple can still be pretty damn broken, but now she's not god tier, right?
Right.
And that's much more reasonable. There is one flaw to this, Shaun.
Yeah.
And the flaw, so this is a pretty new game, but also it's been established that it's not brand new. It's not like it came out that day. The game has been out for a while before Maple and Sally actually play it, because there are veteran players at that point, which maybe at best say they've had like a month, right?
Yeah.
To be like quote unquote veteran players. I can accept that. But that is a month of these wild, insane, game-breaking bugs that just nothing has been resolved. It would have been a very easy fix. Have it just be like the game was released like 5 days before Maple got on, right? Maybe even a bit less. Maybe just like 3 days. Pretty hot off the presses. You would still have a few players who know what the fuck they're doing, as well as maybe some players who knew it from like all the hype around it. All right, cool. Maybe you even go the Sword Art Online. You have like beta testers who know their way around a little bit more, but not in such a bullshit manner. And you could have that, and then it makes sense for them to be fixing these bugs like a week in, rather than an extended period of time where these wild game-breaking bugs have existed for quite some time now. So that's like I love the patch notes. Oh my god, they get so close to fixing all of the issues I've had with the broken game so far. But they slightly miss just because it wasn't brand new. There were veteran players, and it sort of fucks shit up.
Well, veteran is a bit hard to say because they're technically only in the first world, and that level cap is a bit lower. So I think at most it's a month old.
But even with a month, like, I mean, we've seen these big ol' MMOs. When they're super fucking broken, people will exploit that, and I give it like 2 weeks maximum before heavy changes happen.
Yeah, well, you'll come to realize that while these game devs seem to care about their game, they're also fucking awful at balancing it.
Yeah, so it's like, I love the patch notes so much. It's genuinely, and I want to emphasize this, one of the single best video game isekai decisions I have literally ever seen. Oh my god, why don't we see this more? It doesn't quite fix everything, though, but it definitely helps, and I'm very pleased to see it.
I'm willing to let those issues slide, honestly, just because of all the improvements that they've made so far.
Yeah, so then Sally and Maple, they go to a cafe, they order some cakes, and they can actually taste the cakes without, as they point out, without the added calories of actually eating. And this technology would single-handedly revolutionize all dieting.
Yes.
My god.
Oh my god.
Like,
yeah, there would be...
and this is not even the most impressive technology here. We'll get to that. But that alone, billion-dollar industry, unironically.
Yeah.
They go into a quest in a haunted forest, which was neat, except it's like the most easy quest ever. They find themselves in a building, and then they just find a dude in the basement, and they heal him, and that's it. I would have liked to see a little bit more of the haunted forest. It was a bit of an interesting idea. Sally got real spooked. I feel like that could have been explored more.
Yeah, I agree. But also, it just kind of shows how really bad at game development the in-universe developers are.
Yeah.
The fact that you can accidentally find what is very clearly a super powerful skill and accidentally do a quest by accidental happenstance in an area that's supposed to be scary and difficult is ludicrous.
Yeah, it was just a little bit meh for me. One thing I do like, so at this point they learned that there's going to be another event. This one's going to be a treasure hunt, so they start preparing a little bit in advance for it, all right? And this is what they've been doing. So they get in some fights, train themselves up a little bit. One thing that I really like, we actually, unlike Shield Hero, we see a variety of different abilities and different strategies used. We see them get all of these abilities. We see them develop it. And unlike every single goddamn isekai ever, this isn't a case where you have, where abilities pop out of nowhere and you're like, oh, I guess they can do that then. Almost every single ability, if not every single ability, they mention and or use before it becomes super important, which is so nice.
Oh yeah, it adds a whole amount of tactical setup to all of the fight scenes, which, if you think about it, the fight scene's not important, but there's so much love and care put into each individual fight scene and how they take care of each one with the different styles and different techniques that I can't help but really love how they set everything up.
As crazy as it is, I'm thinking it through. There's a chance that this has the best isekai fight scenes that we've seen so far. I'm trying to think of one that would top it, and none come to mind.
I might have to agree with you there.
Which is crazy, because once again, it's not that the fights are like the point. They're just an element.
Yeah, I can't think of one off the top of my head. And the fact that I can't think of one off the top of my head kind of says a lot about it, doesn't it? Like, I'm trying to think of all the isekais we've covered, and...
And once again, I think the fact that we know what abilities Maple and Sally have and are working with, that way we can actually understand what's happening, as opposed to so many isekai and other anime that are guilty of this, but isekai especially, where we think we understand, but then some bullshit will happen and we're like, oh, okay, I guess they can do that too. I don't know why I was concerned in the first place then. Here, understanding the repertoire, understanding the arsenal at hand, okay, we get what's happening. We can actually have the stakes of the fight.
Yeah, no, just finished scrolling through all of our isekais. Nope, this is probably the best one.
Yeah, it has the best fight scenes, which is just pretty crazy. Also, I cannot emphasize how nice it is that there aren't like forced high stakes. It isn't a case where it's like, oh, we need to win this battle royale or this treasure hunt, otherwise I don't know if I can keep playing the game, or we need to do this so we can save this. We mentioned it in part 1 of the podcast, but it's just so nice to just be like, yeah, no, we'd really like to do this thing. That'd be neat. That'd be a fun time. Let's do that.
Yeah, I mean,
right?
I mean, it definitely emphasizes the fact that, hey, this isn't a great game and people realize it, but people still like to play it.
Yeah.
Like,
and then
people play the game because it's fun to play games with your friends. What a shocker.
Exactly. And so episode 3, it sort of closes off right before they go into the treasure hunt. Sally takes Maple to some candlelit galaxy wine, which is just pretty darn romantic, if I do say so myself.
Yeah, you get
they're just
a little bit of that Yuri baiting stuff, which I am a-okay with.
I mean, 1,000,000%. I mean, they're in space, candlelit dinner, pouring galaxy wine, eating
The cosmos.
eating Cosmo balls. It's just a romantic setting, and I am ashamed, and I feel disappointed that you have never taken me on a date to get some galaxy wine, Shaun.
Well, the problem is we'd probably have to go to Japan to do that, Rem, and I'm worried we're locked in America right now, so
we're trapped here.
So maybe in the future,
God bless
Rem,
America.
Maybe you and I will take a trip to Akihabara. I imagine Akihabara is where all the weird shit like anime stuff is. So I have to imagine that if I can get galaxy wine anywhere, it's gonna be there.
Of course. Finally, episode 4 has to do with the treasure hunt event. They explain it's going to take 1 week total, but that 1 week will only take 2 hours of real life time.
Oh yeah.
Oh my god!
Yeah, the time dilation.
The fuck? What the actual fuck? Earlier, we saw the very first day, we saw Maple get lost in the game, play for many, many hours, and lose track of time. She's not used to this sort of game, but apparently she was just in the game for like a month, and she was like, oh, it's been 5 hours. Oh man, it's been so long. But that doesn't even make any sense. None of that makes sense. What? This, unironically, I think is the stupidest thing in this show. It doesn't get to Shield Hero stupid. Shield Hero, still one of the stupidest shows I've ever seen in my goddamn life. But this is real dumb. It's really dumb.
From what I understand, the time dilation thing is like an event-specific thing. Like to that degree, I imagine there's some like.
But if they have this technology,
don't think about it too much, Rem. Don't think about this.
Why is this in an MMO? Why not create a virtual library? You can read all of the information on everything ever in like a week's time. Like, what the fuck is going on here?
Don't worry about it, Remington. It's not that big of a deal. Clearly, the best use of this technology is so that cute girls can do cute things in a fantasy setting.
It tilted me pretty hard. So in this treasure hunt world, they have to find a bunch of different metals, right? And there's also some PvP elements for those who are interested. And so they explore, and so far, Sally's super fast, super quick, often carrying Maple piggyback style so that Maple can actually go fast.
Yeah, think
now
more rogue, less swashbuckler. I don't know why they decided swashbuckler was the class.
Yeah, it's a weird decision.
I feel like they just thought it sounded cool in English, so that's what they went with.
Probably.
Yeah.
But fortunately, Maple has a new ability, which is cover move, which you teleport in front of one of your buddies and you can block an attack for them. But they actually use it pretty cleverly as a movement skill, where now Maple can just keep using cover move to just keep up with Sally, not defending her necessarily, just keeping pace. And that was a clever use. I liked that.
Especially since, like, in the overworld, the best way to get around was to have Sally literally carry Maple on her back.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, these are the types of things that will happen in video games. You'll be like, yeah, this move, technically, it's supposed to do this, but I just use it for this. Like, that's what happens in MMOs and any video game.
Yeah, especially with movement mechanics. Anytime you can abuse a movement mechanic, people will find all kinds of weird ways to do it. Like, just take, I don't know how much Team Fortress 2 you've played, Remington, if any, but in Team Fortress 2, they have a character who's called Soldier who has a bazooka, and his best way to get around is called rocket jumping, where he literally shoots a rocket at his feet to get to higher places and propel himself forward.
Yeah, and it definitely it feels a little bit like that, which is really nice.
Yeah, and I mean, it's an intended game mechanic, but the things I've seen rocket jumpers do is insane because people will make courses and have routes so that you can get across one end of the map to the opposite end of the map in literally seconds with how quickly it is. And I'm like, okay, yeah, no, this is what gamers do. They're given mechanics and they think to themselves, all right, now how can I make this as efficient, as cool, and useful as possible? It's
definitely, it's fun to see and a really nice touch. They end up going in a dungeon, they fight a big jester, they get a couple medals, they find a different portal that could give them more, but then they find Kuromo. Now, Kuromo is a great shielder who gave some advice to Maple earlier on. And so because only one person can take the teleporter, Maple's like, you know what, you helped me out, go ahead, take the portal. I owe you one anyway. And it wasn't done even in a like super transactional sense. It was just like, hey, you were nice to me, I'll be nice to you. There you go.
Well, it's almost like there are nice people who play video games and actually care about how other people's feel in video games. I don't know, weird.
Yeah, I mean, and I feel like every hardcore gamer, everyone who's played a bunch of games, they've had that experience in an online game where they were just starting out and they found someone who knew a lot more and became like everyone's found their little mentor, right? I remember in RuneScape, I found a mentor in RuneScape and I had no idea what the fuck I was doing, but they helped me out like a motherfucker.
Yeah, no, for me it was when I first played Guild Wars 2. I played around with a person, what was his name? It was something along the lines of Sword Coast. I don't know. I might be mistaken with the D&D thing, but I don't know. I just remember that guy. I was like, hey, I want to play a Wizzy Boy. And he's like, all right, this is what you do. This is what you should think about doing. And he helped me out for like a solid month of me playing that MMO. And I was like, oh, this is a good experience. This is a good feeling. And then he went on his way and I haven't seen him. I miss him. Sword Coast. If you hear this, give me a call. Give me a call sometimes. I do want to play Guild Wars 2 again.
Send a DM to his Guild Wars account.
Which I haven't touched in like 2 years, so it'll be interesting to see what that looks like.
Oh, man. But yeah, so it was, once again, these moments are just real nice moments. And now we're starting to establish more character, more relationships. I asked for that earlier, and I am getting that. Unfortunately, Kuromo and his crew get absolutely fucked. The portal opens back up almost immediately. They're like, oh, I wonder what happened there. They go into the teleporter, and then they fight Articuno. And
I mean, you know what? It is Articuno, isn't it?
It's a giant ice bird.
Yeah,
it's Articuno.
It's discount Articuno.
Yeah. And Articuno, like, super overpowered. And this is actually a really nice fight scene. There's a lot of variety. Maple and Sally have a genuinely hard time with it and get their asses kicked a little bit, but they do triumph. Which is nice.
And they get the best reward in any MMO.
Yes, they get some eggs, and I was immediately excited because that means cute familiars. But then, before we get a look at more the familiar stuff, we cut to the developer Muppets?
Yes.
Discussing what the fuck was this? All right, so if this makes no goddamn sense, I agree. We cut to showing these ugly Muppets talking to one another that I believe are the developers of the game.
Yes.
And they're just talking about how like surprised they are that Articuno was defeated and how impressive that is and whatnot, blah, 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 blah. But I hated it. I hated that.
It is pretty ugly. You can tell where they put all of their budget and where they had to skimp on their budget.
And like we have never seen the developers talk like this before. And it makes and they already have like a mascot. Why wouldn't they use like the mascot character they've used a handful of times? Why do they have to use these ugly Muppets? I don't know what the fuck was going on.
Yeah, they're the in-game administrators and developers who are actively observing the game and events and trying to fix their problems because they realized, hey, we're kind of bad at this and we actually need to keep an active eye on the game to make sure we can adjust and fix things as they go. Which is
get better avatars. What the fuck?
That's your only problem with it is just these ugly ass avatars.
They're so bad.
Hey man,
they're gonna haunt me in my dreams.
They spent all of their cute budget on the pets and other monsters in the game, and a little bit on the mascot. They're spent, man. I mean, if I'm gonna be a overpowerful admin deity in this game world, I want people to wonder what I look like, and when they finally see what I look like, to be shocked, horrified, and maybe a little disappointed, because I feel like that would match my MO pretty particularly well.
Yep. But then we get to the end of episode 4, the best moments thus far. The eggs, 2 eggs in total, 1 for each of them, they hatch. And Maple, she has an adorable turtle. Sally has an adorable fox, but I will admit the turtle, way more adorable. Fox is really fucking cute. The turtle, oh my god. And then she names the turtle Syrup because maple syrup, and oh my god, it's just so fucking cute.
Congratulations.
Oh my god.
You all have
Holy
diabetes.
shit. It's so good. It's so good. And then they're basically Pokemon because then they start teaching them to fight. But
I mean, I would say MMO pets is probably a better comparison because, Pokemon was a whole world surrounding the pets, and these are just some inconsequential guys that can help.
Excuse you? What the? No, I heavily disagree. These pets are the entire point of the show. They are the heart and soul of this show. If anything happened to Syrup the turtle, I would spend my life to save that turtle, Shaun.
Once again, Remington, your priorities are placed in some rather interesting locations.
His name is Syrup.
He is, and he's adorable, and he's good, and he can occasionally fly. That's besides the point.
Oh my god, I love him.
He's great, but Rem, I hate to break it to you, but he's not the whole point of the show.
Disagree.
He's a heavy part of the show, but he's not the main focus. He's not the main character, Rem.
I disagree.
He's
They've
the
just
mascot
decided
character.
to. No. They are the number one primary character. Number 1 character, Syrup the turtle. Number 2 character, the dead apple rabbit. Number 3 important character is the fox, and the number 4 and 5 main characters are going to be Maple and Sally. So that's the order.
Jesus Christ. It's amazing that you have actual human relationships, Remington. Like,
I would easily replace any of my human relationships with a relationship with Syrup.
you want to fuck a turtle?
I don't want to fuck the turtle, but I would cuddle the turtle.
Oh yeah, that's right. It has a tail, so that wouldn't be your jazz.
I don't fuck anything with the tail. But Syrup is just so. If anybody can link me to like a plush Syrup turtle, oh my god, yes, that, yes.
Oh man, I love it when you find a character that you resonate so much with that you want people to send you. Like I remember when, oh god, what was it? Was it Umaru-chan where there was the long cat?
Oh my god, yeah.
Yeah, like you wanted one of those in real life. And I think actually someone did a little fun little like a fan art piece of us with that long cat, you cuddling that long cat, which is
Yep. Really good.
Very good.
You know what? I'm gonna tell you guys right now. Who needs to become a patron when in reality you could just send me an adorable turtle plush? That's what I prefer. Fuck Shaun and Dylan. Who needs them? Just contribute to me via turtle plush. Like that is.
I'm about to break your heart. From what I can tell, I cannot find any Syrup turtle plushes.
I am genuinely devastated.
I see plenty of turtle plushes, and there are some cute ones, but none of them are like, hey, that's my boy Syrup. No.
All right.
It's like there's a Minecraft turtle plush, which arguably uglier turtle than a normal turtle.
Well, then I stand here devastated. I'm now in the abyss. I was riding high, now I'm riding very, very low.
All because you can't get a turtle plushie from this one anime, this one very specific anime that is for a very specific group of people and may or may not get a second season. We honestly don't know at this point.
I want an entire season that is just Syrup going on adventures. I want an isekai all about Syrup.
I mean, I tried to show you Kimono Friends, but you didn't seem to jive with that.
That one was all right. It's no Forest Fairy 5, but
for fuck's sake, Remington.
But overall, this one actually worked. It's not a perfect show by any means, but it has a lot of heart, a lot of charm. surprisingly the best fight scenes in any isekai we've covered thus far, which is amazing.
Yeah.
And overall,
I mean,
it definitely gets the
Slime
thumbs
Hero
up.
had some pretty good fight scenes, but I think BOFURI kind of outtakes it a bit.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Because I mean, with Slime Reincarnate, it was another one where they didn't prioritize the fight scenes, but there were some neat stuff done. But I think still BOFURI would probably edge it out.
Yeah.
I would still probably prefer Slime Reincarnate as a show, I think. But when it comes to fight scenes, BOFURI win.
Yeah. Oh man, I'm glad that you like the show, Rem, because I didn't know what I was gonna do if you did. Because it's just such a good soft show, and I love it so much.
Completely agree.
Yeah, it was much better researching this than Shield Hero. I'll tell you that right now.
Yeah.
Because that one just made me feel bad about myself afterwards, and not like a good, like pensive kind of bad about myself. More like a man, I'm doing this to myself again, huh?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, that's rough, buddy. But yeah, that's BOFURI. So I guess I have one final question to ask you then, Rem. Would you by chance like to watch some more BOFURI with me?
You know what, Shaun? I would love to. We've just been introduced to syrup, and I need more.
All right, maybe we'll get some more syrup in the future. Maybe we'll even finish this show. It's hard to say. But thank you all so much for tuning in. We really appreciate it. If you would like to support us, I have a couple ways that you can do it. The first and easiest way only takes a couple of seconds, couple of minutes at most, is you can leave a review for us on whatever platform you listen on, whether that be Apple Podcasts, Podbean, Stitcher, Spotify, or even better, you can also help us grow by word of mouth. But if you'd like to be even more directly in support of the podcast, as well as gaining access to all kinds of lovely little bonus content that we are constantly adding to, we have a Patreon, and some of the rewards can include getting your name read out on the show. So, Remington, who are some of the lovely people that are deserving of our love, appreciation, and thanks this week?
Of course, I would like to send our thanks and love out to our bland bitch protagonists, as well as our magical girls who do great contributions and we adore them. But right above there is the yandere waifus staring their gaze, unblinking, unflinching, right into our soul. And on that list, we start out with Rare Kumiko, Devin McCutcheon, Omoto Ahigao Owo, Andrew Rowicki, Ross Palmer, Mecha Zap, Chris Salas, Sage Schiffner, Matthew B, Reverse Kismo, Cat Zodiac, Kazu Morocco, Rem Apologize for the Haikyuu EP, nope, Sarah Birch, Chase Fredette, Nixu, Salty Pretzel, Xerix, McAlex, Jacob Livingston, I Bought Dylan Conception, Glenn Michael Dolan, Juliana, Alexander Nasiensenyo, Farmer There's No Flag Large Enough to Cover the Shame of Killing Innocent People Weeb. Whew! H-Wood, Hayden Lecker. Thanks, absolutely every single one of you. You guys are absolutely fantastic. But
I would also like an apology for the Haikyuu episode.
You're only getting disappointment. There's a tier higher than Yandere Waifu. We go all the way to Hogwarts. The boy wizard tier representing Harry Potter is our favorite anime. We start out with Pilkster, actually pronounced it correct this time. Pilkster, congratulations! This week you get to be you get to be Severus Snape, and then we have Miguel.
Oh God, that's gonna be a controversial one.
Miguel Delion. You, Miguel, are obviously you're Malfoy.
Wow.
Then
is this the Slytherin squad or something?
It's just the general baddies. I know Snape isn't a huge baddie, but he's an asshole. He's enough of a baddie.
Yeah.
Then we have a Turnitarian. You're Voldemort. Which I think that means Delina Perez. I think you used to be Voldemort at one point, if I remember correctly.
Yes.
Which means we got to give you a new role. Delina, you've moved on from being Voldemort. Now, you are an even greater villain. You are that great villain from Harry Potter, Emperor Palpatine.
And then hold on. Did you just Google Star Wars characters, Star Wars villains, so you could have an absurd poll? Because I know for a fact that you have not seen it.
I've not seen it, but I know who Emperor Palpatine is. Then we have, last but not least, for the boy wizards, we have Adam Kraft, the greatest villain of all, and that is Hagrid. Not in the movies, not in the books, but we know what he's hiding.
I've read the Christian fan fiction of the Harry Potter, so you know what? That's fair.
God.
Like, Hagrid in that is the most evil creation unknown to God.
Finally, we reach the highest of all tiers. We go to the White House. We get to the Chefanomusco tier. Hori in the house. And with these things, we have to start, as always, with the very first, the foremost, number one, patron saint himself, Saint. Then on the flip side of things get a little gloomier, a little darker, a little bit more mischievous. We have the almighty sinner. Then we have Zachary Shirley wants Rem to watch The Testament of Sister New Devil. I assume that's a show. Is that a show?
It is a
Shaun?
show, and it's an oof, Remington.
Oh no, Zachary, are you trying to sell me out in our Patreon shout outs?
People are getting creative.
Trying to sneak in.
People are getting very
sneak in some
creative.
recommendations. Then we have the most presidential hairstyles of all. Thick mullet, the thickest mullet of all mullets. You would not believe how thick this mullet is.
Every time he tries to be stealthy, it just doesn't work because the flap of his hair just keeps, alerting the guards.
Oh God. Then we have the Silken Spectre. My EVP reader is going off the charts at this big-titted ghost. And
God damn.
Shaun hates it every time I do that.
It stopped being funny after 2.
I disagree. I don't think it was funny to begin with. Then we have Amoto Ahigao Uwu, which hurts me every single time. And then we go from that to super political, getting real intense. The hot takes, subs better than dubs, baka, which is gonna anger a lot of people.
Not as many as the controvert, as like the counter.
Yeah. And then Shaun, this just in, the Cass ID. Just change it up a little bit every time.
That's the full name?
Yeah.
Cassidy, you're still my favorite. Like, I don't think anything will change you from being my favorite.
Then we go much simpler, much more composed. The touchy diplomat, going out, making sure our diplomatic relations. You are the reason, touchy diplomat, that we have not been murdered yet for our terrible opinions. You make sure there's favorable diplomacy for us and all of the angry weebs out there, and we appreciate the great work you do in doing so.
After all,
to absolutely every single one of you, thank you so much.
I will say, the only thing he's really touchy about is touching our hearts. We would appreciate it if you stopped, though, because I don't think your hands are supposed to be that deep in our chest cavities.
Especially right now, like, are they clean? Because they better be clean. We have a pandemic going on.
Are you wearing a mask? Properly gloved? Washing your hands? Are you touching? Are you grabbing our heart from at least 6 feet away?
Oh, that's so much worse. That is terrifying.
It's fine. After all, who knows? By the end of this, we might be dead anyway, so it's not like we have anything to concern about.
And if you would like to contact us directly, whether it's for a comment, question, feedback, or recommendation, then you can either tweet us at AnimeConPod on Twitter, or send an email over onto animeoutofcontext@gmail.com.
Once again, guys, thank you all so much for tuning in. Wash your hands, don't forget to love each other, and as always, don't fuck your sister. Alrighty, are you about ready to begin then?
Sure, why not?
Well, that seems very passive. Why don't you get excited? Why aren't you happy? We're recording a podcast. We're gonna have a lovely time, and I'm sure whatever you say will not condemn us any farther than we've already been condemned.
I mean, it's always fun to record a podcast. However, that podcast is about anime, so it's a mixed bag.
I see. And yet you consider yourself an expert on anime, which is a bit of a weird thing.
I know everything there is to know, Shaun.
Yeah, very clearly. Yeah, so much so that you're most likely going to get us banned from ever entering the country.
Hell yeah, brother.
Granted, it's not like we're allowed to leave our country currently anyways.
Yeah, we're doing a good job of banning ourselves without doing a thing. God bless America.
oh, it's a bit of an oof if I have to say so myself.
Yeah, no, definitely agree with that. Oh God, I'm gonna just tip over my entire microphone. Don't mind me.
Oh God, don't do that. Dylan will have your head if you do that.
It's fine. It's fine. Everything's Gucci. It didn't fall over, Dylan. It just almost fell over.
Oh man, I can just picture him sitting there right now, just listening through. He's like, okay, when are they gonna start? What the fuck did he just do? Do I need to come over there? I can imagine the pure like concern and desire to crush your soul if anything happened to his precious equipment.
That would be reasonable and fair.
Yeah.
All right, let's get started.
Alrighty.
All nice and proper like.
Let's see, recording. Okay, let's get started then in 3, 2, 1, mark.